I buried Michael on a Thursday. The day was strangely bright for late November, washed in a pale, low sunlight that made everything look drained and lifeless. The ground at the cemetery outside the town of Pine Hollow was already frozen, and the clumps of dirt I threw onto the coffin struck the wood with a dull, heavy thud, like stones. I can still hear that sound, the sound of an ending. When I returned to the empty house on the edge of town, I sat down at the table and froze. Everything screamed of him. His wool scarf draped over the back of the chair, the unfinished wood carving on his workbench, the faint scent of smoke and pine that seemed permanently soaked into the walls. We had lived here for 25 years. 25 years of laughter, arguments, quiet embraces, shared silence. Now there was only quiet, deafening, all-consuming silence. He faded in 3 days, became thinner, lighter, as if something was washing him out of this world. The doctors from the county clinic could only shrug. No fever, no pain, just an unexplainable wasting away. The first week after the funeral passed in a fog, and exactly 1 week later, on another Thursday, as a cold purple dust settled outside, there was a knock at the door. Michael was standing on the porch, alive, flesh and blood, wearing the same grey suit I had buried him in. Only now it was clean, and he looked healthy. Colour in his cheeks, clarity in his eyes. My first thought, wild, overwhelming, was that it was a miracle. "Mike," I whispered. "I'm home, Emily," he said. And that's when the first needle of fear touched my heart. It was his voice, but the sound, it was wrong. Too loud, too full. It didn't come from his throat. It seemed to exist everywhere at once, filling the air, vibrating like a struck bell, like an echo that arrived before the word itself. He stepped inside and sat down in his chair by the window. I didn't sleep that night. He sat perfectly still, upright, staring into the dark glass. He didn't move. He didn't breathe. I wanted so badly to believe it was really him. During the day, he just sat in the house. He didn't eat, didn't drink. His skin was cool like stone, and instead of the scent of smoke and pine, he smelled of damp earth and decaying leaves. He remembered everything Michael remembered, but like a machine. No emotion, no laughter, no tears. At night, something restless stirred in him. On the third night, he left. I followed him quietly. At the edge of our yard, where it met the dark forest, he stood staring into the trees. He wasn't alone. 3 others stepped out from the shadows. They spoke to each other in low, vibrating tones, like some kind of eerie choral hum. I went to see Agnes, an old woman who had to be nearly 100. I told her everything. She listened without interrupting, her faded eyes still sharp. "That's bad, Emily," she finally said. "Sometimes the Black Forest takes a liking to a person, starts calling to them, quietly, like a whisper. They wither away, dry up, and the doctors don't understand why. They think it's illness, but it's the forest pulling the soul out, and when the soul is gone, it sends something back, an echo. It fills the empty body so the one left behind doesn't suffer as much. The forest called your Michael, and it left you a copy. What am I supposed to do?" I whispered. "What can you do?" She sighed. "You can live with it. It's a quiet thing. Won't hurt you if you don't fight it. Or you can send it away. But for that, you'll have to let him go. For real." I came home shattered. That night, I followed him again. The same 3 figures were waiting at the edge of the forest, and in the moonlight, I recognized them. A man who had drowned that spring, twin sisters from a nearby town who had died in a house fire 2 years ago. The dead returned the night before my decision became the breaking point. I was sitting at the table when he, who had been nothing more than a silent shadow, suddenly stood and walked toward me. He stopped so close I could smell damp moss. "Come with me, Claire," his hollow voice said. "It's better there. Everyone is there." He reached out his cold hand. It wasn't a command. It was an invitation to join that silent circle at the edge of the woods, to become something empty. The decision came in the morning. I had to let him go. That evening, I gathered his things, his suit, his letters, a lock of his hair, and placed them in the center of the room. I love him, and that's why I'm letting him go. I lit the letter. The thing in the chair trembled. Its voice broke into a low, distorted hum. It rose, losing shape, dissolving into something like smoke, and drifted out into the night. I was alone, and for the first time since his death, I cried, but I was free. The decision came the next morning. Cold, heavy, final. I had to let him go. That evening, as he sat in his chair like always, I stood in front of him. "You're not Michael," I said, looking into his clear, empty eyes. "You're my grief, my sorrow. You're a memory of him, but you're not him, and I can't live like this anymore." I went to the old chest and took out his wedding suit, a lock of his hair, his letters, everything that still held his real warmth. I placed it all on the floor in the center of the room. "I love him," I said, not to the thing in the chair, but to the emptiness itself. "And that's why I'm letting him go, and I'm letting you go with him." I struck a match and touched it to the corner of one of the letters. The moment the fire caught, the thing in the chair jerked. Its deep, echoing voice broke into a hollow, meaningless sound. It stood. Its shape began to tremble, to fade. It watched the fire, watched my past burn, and slowly moved toward the door. It drifted, losing form, becoming a column of smoke that smelled of forest rot and damp earth. It slipped over the threshold and dissolved into the night. I was left alone in the middle of the room, watching the last of my memories burn to ash. The house no longer smelled of the forest, only of smoke and home. The silence returned, but it was different now, clean, bitter. I sat down on the floor and, for the first time since it all began, I cried. I cried for the real Michael. And in those tears, there was not only grief, but relief. I was alone again, but I was free, and I knew I would survive this winter and every winter after.